Every year, more than 1 million people walk through this garden in Delhi. They photograph the dome. They call it the building before the Taj Mahal. And then they leave, but almost none of them realize what they're actually standing inside. This is not a palace. It was never meant to be beautiful for the living. This is a grave. The grave of an emperor who lost everything, then died falling down a flight of stairs. And it was built by a woman whose name most of history forgot. Before you visit this place, there's something you should know. Because the most important thing here is the thing you cannot see. You arrive from the noise. Delhi presses in on every side, horns, dust, more than 30 million lives moving at once. And then you step through a gate of red stone, and the city simply stops. The first thing you feel is the quiet. The kind that has weight. The air smells of cut grass, warm sandstone, and somewhere, jasmine. Parakeets cut green streaks across the sky. And there, at the end of a long water channel, it waits, perfectly still, perfectly balanced. Red as dry blood, crowned in white marble, lifted into the air on a platform built for a giant. It doesn't rush toward you. You walk toward it, past straight lines of water, under the eyes of the dome. And with every step, the modern world falls a little further behind. By the time you reach the platform, you are somewhere else entirely. Somewhere older. Somewhere that was designed 4.5 centuries ago to feel exactly like this. For most visitors, the story is simple. This is Humayun's tomb, the resting place of the second Mughal emperor. The first great monument of an empire that would rule India for 300 years. They're told the famous line that this was the rehearsal for the Taj Mahal, that the architects who dreamed the Taj looked first at this, and it is magnificent, the perfect symmetry, the soaring double dome, the first of its kind ever raised in India. The garden split into 4 by channels of water, an idea borrowed from an old vision of paradise. People climb the warm steps, stand inside the cool central chamber, look up at the height of it, take their photographs, and feel correctly that they have seen something important. But they've seen the surface. They have seen the monument. They haven't yet seen the grief. And they have walked right past the secrets hidden in plain sight. Walk into the central chamber, and you'll see a single white marble tomb, glowing in the half-light. Visitors assume this is where the emperor lies. It isn't. The body of Humayun rests in a sealed chamber beneath the floor, in the cool dark directly below, reached by a passage almost no one is allowed to enter. What you see above is only a marker. The emperor himself has been hidden deliberately for 450 years. Look closer at the tombs scattered through these chambers, because you are not in a tomb. You are in a necropolis. More than 100 Mughals lie here. By some counts, over 150. Empresses, princes, later emperors, a whole dynasty sleeping under one roof, they call it. The dormitory of the Mughals, and the stone keeps secrets. On each grave, the Mughals carved a quiet code. A man's tomb bears a pen box. A woman's bears a writing tablet, so that even in death, in the dark, you could know who lay beneath, without a single word. Now look up. The building is built on the number 8, 8 rooms around a center, repeated again and again. Hushed Bihisht, the 8 paradises. Because heaven, they believed, has 8 gates. This isn't decoration. The entire building is a map of paradise, and the emperor was laid in the middle of it. Even the garden is scripture. Those 4 channels of water aren't landscaping. They're the 4 rivers of heaven. Water, milk, honey, and wine. You didn't walk through a park to get here. You walked through paradise. And you never knew. To understand this place, you have to understand the man it holds. And he was not a conqueror who won. Humayun lost. He inherited his father Babur's young empire and watched it slip through his fingers. Driven out of India, he spent nearly 15 years in exile, a king with no kingdom, wandering through deserts and foreign courts, sleeping in borrowed rooms, and yet, against everything, he came back. He took Delhi again. After half a lifetime of failure, he finally held his father's empire in his hands. He held it for 6 months. One winter evening, he climbed to the roof of his library to read the stars, for he was a man who trusted the heavens. As he came down the steep stone stairs, arms full of books, the call to prayer rang out across the city. He went to kneel, his foot caught in his robe. The emperor, who had survived exile, betrayal, and war, died falling down a staircase. As one historian put it, he tumbled through life and he tumbled out of it. He left behind a 13-year-old son named Akbar, who would become the greatest of all the Mughals, and a wife who would answer his chaotic, unfinished life with the most ordered, most perfect thing the empire had ever built. This tomb is not a monument to victory. It is an answer to a life that never found peace. In death, at last, they gave him paradise. And they built it in straight lines, where there is grief and stone and 400 years of silence. There are always stories, the kind the guidebooks leave out and the local guides save for dusk. Legend says the woman who built this place, Bega Begum, was so destroyed by her husband's death that she renounced the world entirely, that she sailed to Mecca, walked the holy pilgrimage, and dedicated every remaining day of her life to this single tomb. That the perfection you see is the shape of one woman's heartbreak. History confirms she built it. The depth of that grief is the story we tell. Then there's the great tomb standing inside the royal garden itself. Local belief says it belongs to the emperor's barber. Why honor a barber among kings? Because the story goes, a barber held a razor to the emperor's throat each morning, and a man you trust with your life deserves to lie near you in death. The truth, no one actually knows who is buried there. The barber is a legend that filled an empty grave, and when the sun goes down, the watchmen will tell you the garden doesn't sleep. They whisper of figures glimpsed between the pillars, of footsteps with no feet, of a sorrow that never quite left these walls. There's no proof of any of it. But stand here alone at dusk, and you'll understand why the stories exist. None of these are facts. They are something older than facts. They are the way human beings have always kept the dead company. But this place is not only the past. It is alive, and it has worked. For 6 years, hundreds of craftsmen came here with hand tools and old knowledge, the same knowledge their great-grandfathers used. They scraped away decades of bad concrete, mixed lime by hand, and brought the dying art of glazed tile making back from the edge, even bringing masters from Uzbekistan to teach it again. Young men from the neighborhood beside the tomb learned to carve sandstone, and in restoring an emperor's grave, restored their own futures. Step beyond the wall into the old quarter of Nizamuddin, and the centuries fold together. The scent of rosewater and frying bread, the thread of qawwali music drifting from the saint's shrine, the same devotional song that has been sung here for 700 years. And inside the garden, ordinary life continues the way it always has. Families spread out on the grass in the cool of evening. Children dare each other up the warm steps. Lovers find a quiet corner. An old man bows his head toward Mecca, exactly where the emperor's face is turned, just a few feet of earth away. This was built for one dead king, but it belongs now to everyone who walks in. So why should any of this matter? To you today, half a world and half a millennium away, because this garden is where an empire began and where it ended. 300 years after Humayun was laid here, the last Mughal emperor hid in these same chambers as the world he knew burned around him. He was captured here. The dynasty that started in this tomb also died in it. The whole arc of one of history's great empires fits inside a single garden wall. And there's something quieter too. We live faster than any humans before us. Everything disposable, everything replaceable, nothing meant to last. Then you stand in front of a building that one woman willed into being out of pure love and loss, that 1,000 hands kept alive across 4 centuries. And it asks you a hard question. What will you leave behind? What in your life is built to outlast you? This place survived empires, invasions, neglect, and the slow forgetting of time. It is still here, still perfect, still turned toward the light, and it is still gently asking us to remember. The crowds have gone now. The light is leaving. For 450 years, this dome has watched the sun go down over Delhi. It watched an empire rise. It watched it fall. It watched a city become a megacity, and a garden become an island of silence inside it. Somewhere beneath your feet, in the cool and the dark, an emperor who lost everything finally rests in the center of a paradise built from someone else's grief. He never found peace in life, so they built it for him in stone and turned his face forever towards the light. Most people will only ever see a beautiful old building. But now, you know how to look. And here's the quiet secret the crowds never find. While the world lines up for the Taj Mahal, this garden, its first and truest ancestor, waits almost empty in the heart of Delhi. Come at sunrise when the mist still hangs over the water channels, or stay until last light when the red stone catches fire and even the parakeets fall quiet. So when you stand here, and you should stand here, don't just photograph the dome. Listen for the quiet. Find the secret in the stone. And remember, the woman who loved a man so much that she gave him heaven. This is Humayun's tomb.